completed your subjective assessment, you can start your objective assessment. Now this is the stuff you can measure and things that you can record and monitor on an ongoing basis. Now this is going to start with your asymmetry or postural assessment. So in order to do that, what I've asked Tamsin to do is to put on a strappy t-shirt so that I can see as much of her shoulders and arms as possible. Baggy jumpers hide so much. What we've also done is take the shoes off. That means that we can see Tamsin's foot position, uninfluenced by the shoes, because a lot of people have arch supports in their shoes, really nice trainers, all of which will hide what you're trying to look at. I've also asked her to roll up her tracky bottoms. Shorts are ideal, but this is a really good alternative way at having a look at the lower limb position. So what we're going to ask you client to do first, after we've of course explained to them what we're doing and why, is we're going to ask them to stand in a sort of neutral position, walk into it nice and relaxed. So Tamsin, what we're going to do is we're going to assess your body position. So we're going to have a little bit of a look, see if there's anything that we can see causing your shoulder problem. So if you sort of shake yourself out, walk yourself in, and let your arms go floppy by your side, we'll have a bit of a look. So now Tamsin's there, I'm going to back myself away. I can then have a look, starting top or bottom, doesn't matter which. I'm going to start at the feet. So get yourself down to foot level. What I'm looking for is any imbalances. So first thing I'm going to do, ask Tamsin, can I please just have, do you mind if I put a hand on your foot just to have a little look? So what I'm looking at immediately, this right foot of Tamsin's, very little arch space. Looks like the arch is collapsed. Much more, if I put my hand onto the left foot, it disappears underneath. I've got a little bit more arch space. So that's really useful to know because that can be influencing things above it. What I'm going to do, again, back myself off. Maybe look at the knee position. Again, I'm at that level. So I'm seeing that right knee is turned in more than the left. Again, probably related to that foot position. Moving on up from that, we've got the hip position. Now, can be quite difficult to see. But if I pop myself in front, Tamsin, pop your hands on your hips for me, it'd be really helpful. And that can tell us a little bit about where the hip position is. So I think we're probably looking a little bit the left hip ever so slightly higher if we're being fussy. Cool, thanks Tamsin, shake your arms out and pop them down by your sides. What I'm going to do, bring myself up to the right level, and then I'm going to have now a look at the shoulder position. So what we can see here, and Tamsin, you happy if I pop a hand on your shoulders? What we can actually see is that left shoulder, if I pop here, is ever so slightly raised through here. Almost looks like that left shoulder is shorter than the right. However, the pain is in this right one, so I'm thinking, looking at this, there's ever so slightly overdeveloped through here. I don't know if you can sort of see that, how much sort of raised and like stronger it looks right into the base of the neck. And as a result, you can actually see that Tamsin's head is ever so slightly tilted one way. So really useful to note all these things. Once we've done that, we're going to ask Tamsin to turn and face the door. So facing away from me now. Perfect, and again, back yourself off. Have a look at the broad picture. So what we can see really nicely here is that Tamsin's shoulder, if you see it's pulled forward slightly, so we call it internally rotated. And that hand position where the hand's turned in tells us that as well, so that's really useful. Ask your client to then turn away and face away from you. So perfect, thank you Tamsin. So this shows us a really good angle on the shoulders. So if I pop myself square in front here, I can have a really good look. And now you can see really clearly that extra strength in that right shoulder there. Turning back and facing the wall then for me, please, Tamsin, would be great. Lovely, and again, a little bit of rotation inwards on this shoulder here, so really useful. So all the time I've been moving, haven't I? I've been in and out. You can face the front again now, Tamsin, that's great. So I've been moving into a position so that I can see far better, changing my level, making sure that I can see as much as possible about my client. So now we've done that, we can make some notes, inform Tamsin of what we've seen, tell her there's nothing to worry about, and then we can move on to the next stage. What you're going to do is now mark onto your sheet and record exactly what we've seen during that asymmetry assessment. So starting down at the foot, so we were able to see that Tamsin's right arch had collapsed. So I'm going to draw an arrow on the inside of that right arch because that was really nice and easy to see. As a result of that, that knee was turned in. So we can draw an inward arrow on that diagram really nicely to show that that's turned in. We thought that the left hip might have been slightly higher, so I might draw a little dot on there. And again, with an upwards arrow just to indicate that we thought that point was slightly raised. Then we come on to the shoulders. Now, what we said was that the left shoulder was shorter and raised. So, for me, you can record this however you like. I tend to draw, if I think it looks shorter, almost a pair of inward arrows with a line between them, just to indicate that it's getting shorter. But also then we can say it's slightly raised. So we can then say that actually on that right shoulder, we thought that into the base of the neck was slightly overdeveloped, and I would almost mark that with a line like that. So we can do that from the front, but also from the back, marked like that. So we've got quite a lot of information. Particularly then we thought that the head leant slightly over to the left, so again, an arrow over to the left. And then so internal rotation on that right hand side, especially on that shoulder, on that side view, I might put an arrow facing forwards to indicate that that's turned forwards and in. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how much information you can mark on very quickly. We then need to record that. So when we're looking at the right shoulder, so we're going to mark that straight onto here. So the posture was raised and overdeveloped at the base of the neck. So I'm going to say upwards arrow for raised and overdeveloped at neck. Now your notes need to be legible for someone else. They need to make sense. They can't just be what you understand. So you can put sort of as much abbreviation in as makes sense. So that right shoulder as well was internally rotated. So I'm going to put int rot. So internal rotation. Then when we're looking at the left shoulder, so that can have its own box. And again, in that posture column, we're going to record that the left shoulder was raised. And as a result, it looked shorter. Now that is an effective term, so I'm just going to put that into quotes, just so that that was sort of what we viewed. So those are your key points that we picked up about the shoulders that we're going to go on to treat and assess further as we move on to our range of movement assessment.